Poll results will be given to you directly.
Confidential.
Going in a diabetology conference, I believe. I'm just joking.
They are confidential, will be released only after the end of this conference.
Both of you stay for this talk again, Dr. Samit and Dr. Kamal, and then at the end we can again have a discussion. Over to Dr. Samir Dani to introduce Dr. JJ Mukherjee.
So now we are going from specific SGLT2 to cardiovascular outcome trials. And we have Dr. JJ Mukherjee from Kolkata, who is an endocrinologist. His chief clinical interests are in pituitary and adrenal disorders, endocrine hypertension, and he has more than 40 publications. His chapters on endocrine emergencies has got written in a lot of textbooks. He's been editor of Handbook Managing Diabetes and Endocrine Conditions. And I invite him to speak on CVOT in diabetes. Shall we continue or not? He is in favor of continuing.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are. You are.
Bansi, thank you very much for getting me into this. I told him that I've been off debating now, but Bansi said, JJ, ye tere ko karna hi hai. And knowing that he's done such a fantastic program, Bansi, congratulations again. Well done.
Thank
you. I'm going to share my screen. I hope my screen is visible. And here goes my slides, and I hope you start timing me from now. I can't see Krishna. How can you start fighting without seeing the...
He's there, he's there.
Where is he? I have not seen his face. Anyway.
Parde ke piche.
No, he's on the parda only. He has kept himself mute. JJ, you start.
Okay, here I start. So CVOT in diabetes, shall we continue or not? I am supposed to say yes. I will just make sure we are on the same page. We're talking about CVOTs in type 2 diabetes, of course. Shall we continue or not? It can be done in two ways. The current avatar, the way we do CVOTs now, or a modified CVOT. I hope that Krishna sticks to the topic, which is he has to say no CVOT. So the question is, shall we continue CVOT or not? So if I say modified CVOT, I don't want him to come in between and say, oh, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Why has this topic come up? Because of this. This is the FDA draft guidance. If you see, look on the right-hand side, it says in March 2020, type 2 diabetes, evaluating safety of new drugs for improving glycemic control, guidance for it. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is draft guidance. Based on this, I think Bansi chose this topic. And looking at that draft guidance, what does the media say? Look at how media responds. New draft guidance that no longer includes a recommendation that drug conduct cardiovascular outcome trials demonstrating safety for type 2 diabetes. Be very careful. This is not what the draft guidance is saying. So I'm debating not against Krishna G. Seshadri. I'm debating against FDA, ladies and gentlemen, which is a big task. This was done already. This debate was done in October 2018 in FDA MDAC meeting. So what are we debating again? I'll show you what the results was later on as we go on. The question was, should an unacceptable increase in cardiovascular risk be excluded for all new molecules? So I will take you through 5 steps. CVOT, why? Reason is very simple. It kills 60 to 80% of people. We just had a fantastic debate just before this, die of a cardiovascular death. And if you see, very fascinating paper, this one, from the onset of diabetes to 0 to 4 to up to 8 years, 10 years time, 20% people develop a CV initial cardiovascular disease, which could be, if you see, cardiorenal, heart failure, renal impairment, or all sorts of atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. What was done for CVOTs in the past? This was pre-FDA 2008. You do phase 1, phase 2 study, then you do phase 3 studies, and then you apply for application of the molecule. Here, the problem was companies wanted to get the molecule faster into the market. So they did quicker, shorter phase 3 studies, 6 to 12 months, young cohorts, recent onset, low CV risk. So cardiovascular outcome data was not reliable. They were inconsistent. And then came the famous rosiglitazone saga, which everybody knows. Rosiglitazone was supposed in this meta-analysis by Steve Nissen causing increased cardiovascular death and increased myocardial infarction. We know that was flawed now, but that flawed meta-analysis has led to so much of information that we have got. This was the December 2008 guidance, which said that while developing in phase 2, phase 3, if you have sufficient number of events and your upper border of non-inferiority is less than 1.3, you don't need to do a CVOT. But what happened was 4 classes of molecules were introduced after 2008, DPP-4, SGLT2, GLP-1, and some newer forms of insulin, degludec and glargine. So there, what happened was the upper border crossed 1.3. If we cross 1.8, a couple of drugs did that. I'll show you. That's the advantage of doing a CVOT, which were banned straight away. If you're between 1.3 and 1.8, you have to do the cardiovascular outcome trial. And these are the number of cardiovascular outcome trials done. Since then, 26 were FDA mandated and another 6 were done by the molecule per se because they probably wanted the label. What have we learned? We have learned that anti-diabetic medications since 2008, all of them are safe. He will say this many times. I'll show you that they were not all safe. Some anti-diabetic medicines reduce 3-PMAs, HHF. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, was absolutely a game changer in the way we manage diabetes now. Prior to EMPA-REG outcome, we were managing diabetes like what Dr. Kamal was saying, you diabetologists, you physicians going after sugar. But after 2015, when EMPA-REG was presented, I was there in Stockholm, we all stood and clapped, completely changed the way we manage diabetes. So one of the big benefits which come out of CVOT is EMPA-REG and of course, subsequently all the trials which came later. We surprisingly found that some anti-diabetic drugs increase risk of heart failure. And after that, we focused, and I mean, I'm one of those. I didn't even think about so much of heart failure before. But after this saxagliptin, alogliptin saga, maybe they're true, maybe they're not true, but they raised our antennae, and we started to realize how important heart failure is in a patient with diabetes, what drugs to use, what drugs not to use in a type 2 diabetic patient with heart failure. And look at this, the biggest advantage apart from atherosclerotic cardiovascular is the renal side. For 20 years, 8 molecules were studied after irbesartan and losartan, renal and IDNT trial. We did not find a single molecule which made an iota of difference in clinically relevant renal outcomes. And now the molecules, you take whichever SGLT2 you want to take, some GLP-1 receptor agonists as well, have clinically relevant outcome benefits in kidney, which is a big advantage of the cardiovascular outcome trials. And of course, understandably, that has changed our treatment algorithm. This was the algorithm in 2017, monotherapy, dual. I disagree with this also. I think this should start with combination therapy. Anyway, that's not the debate today. Monotherapy, dual therapy, triple therapy. Then boost steps in 2018, ASCVD, see that big black arrow. And now the 2019-2020 guideline is absolutely changed, turned the management of diabetes over its heels. Now we see ASCVD, heart failure, renal failure, choose our molecules. And then if they don't have those, we will choose the others. And along the way, we found many other benefits like pancreatitis, thyroid malignancy, amputations, fractures. All this wealth of information, ladies and gentlemen, came because we embarked on cardiovascular outcome trials. You can say you started on the journey on a wrong premise. Rosiglitazone probably was not harmful. Steve Nissen's data was probably wrong. But I think that was a benefit in disguise. It changed the way we manage diabetes now. We are saving lives on top of standard of care. These molecules are providing extra benefit. Calcitonin and GLP-1 and calcitonin story. And then I said, people say that all molecules were safe. No, look at the ALICardio trial. Aliglitazar, I'll come to it later. Tapsoglutide, they all got banned because they had negative cardiovascular effects. But this is what Krishna is going to say. JJ, you've spoken for 6 minutes. You've said all old hat. All old hat, JJ. Come on. We're not debating what has happened. What has happened in the past, even though I consider that it's present. It's time to move on, JJ, and say no to CVOTs. That is his brief. Okay, so let's see what's the future for CVOT. Should we do them or should we not? That's what I'm supposed to do. The last 6 minutes, I gave you the background. Is this being discussed now? Was it only in 2018 that FDA started? No. Look at the reference down below. European Heart Journal 2015. This is European Medical Agency policy. They were very clear in 2015 itself. Selective use of CV safety studies. You have to do CV safety studies for some molecules. Intensive early clinical drug prevalent program. Ladies and gentlemen, focus on this. I will be countered by saying CVOTs cost a lot of money. Money is going in CVOTs. But ladies and gentlemen, if you delay, if you do early clinical drug development program, I will show you what they want. They want exactly the same. It will delay the registration of that molecule and they will lose 2 to 4 years of marketing that molecule. Beauty of CVOT is it's post-marketing. The drug company, which has spent 10 years developing the molecule, has spent X billions of dollars, can start reaping some of that money back and along with that do the CVOT. Intensive pharmacovigilance program. We all know how intense these pharmacovigilance programs are. I had 5 slides, I removed them because of short of time. But I will stick to this one, large electronic health record data. This has been pampered again and again, that this is the way to go. And this is the largest electronic database study on cardiovascular outcome. How many of you believe it? I don't know. The CVD real trial presented in EASD, ADA, published in all sorts of journals. Look at that. If you are having type 2 diabetes and you don't want admission because of HHF, please go and live in Germany. You have 86% reduction. If you want reduction, go and live in USA. Never go to UK. UK will not have any reduction in HHF if you follow this real world electronic database. And what about death? My God, don't live in UK if you have type 2 diabetes. Go and live in UK. You have 64% reduction in death. These were all done with so much of statistics, propensity matching, etc., etc. So they can give a direction. So in the end, when you ask the question, they all say, Dr. Mukherjee, real world studies gives us the direction which randomized controlled trials prove. So there you go. You still need a randomized controlled trial, which is cardiovascular outcome trial. So coming back to the debate, which they had in the MDAC meeting in October 24, 25th. Ladies and gentlemen, to let you know, I have gone through this MDAC meeting. I've heard what all 19 said. I've read through the transcripts because I knew I have to speak today. So take it from me. I've done my homework. So 19 members of MDAC had debated on this topic. And lo and behold, you will not show the voting, but I'll show you the voting what they had. Out of 19, 10 said, should an unacceptable increase in cardiovascular be excluded for all new molecules? 10 said yes, 9 said no. So yes, it is a debatable topic. Yes, it's a 50-50 cutoff, but at least in MDAC, it was my favor, my favor. 10 said yes, 9 said no. The people who said no, what did they say? They said, is there a signal of harm? There's no signal of harm. All of them were fine. No, sir. Aliglitazar was a very good molecule, got knocked off. In the CVOT, they did quite a bit of the trial and then they had to back off. Aspaglutide had to back off. So there are some drugs which are harmful. They passed the 1.3 to 1.8, and during that follow-up post-marketing trial, that's where aliglitazar failed. Are the results generalizable? Of course they are not. It's because the past cardiovascular outcome trials were not designed properly. This was the poster presentation 2017 San Diego. There were that time 23 or 24 million type 2 diabetics in the US. And they say if you take, this is GLP-1, if you take Alexa, lixisenatide, liraglutide or semaglutide, they apply to only 6 to 10 to 12% of the population. So what's the point of doing this cardiovascular trial? Look at the Excel trial, exenatide once weekly. It was a pragmatic trial. And in that, if you see, it's applicable to 50% of the diabetic population in USA. So it all depends on how you design the trial. So don't kick CVOTs out. Kick the people who designed the initial CVOTs out. Get better people. Dr. Ramachandran was part of this. I'm so proud of the Excel trial. And that applies to 47.4%. And because it was pragmatic, probably just by a one death, it missed the significance. Next, they say how ethical it is to have placebo-controlled trials. Gentlemen, you're brighter now after having all these trials. Now you know that EMPA and SGLT2 and GLP-1s prevent cardiovascular events. Now we're talking, should we have placebo control? It's not ethical. Fair enough. Please do it with an active comparator. Should CVOT be under primary prevention? Of course. That's what I am saying. We still need, but we need it in a modified way. Cost, as I told you, if you register your molecule with small phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trial, and then do a post-marketing trial, you're still getting returns for your 10 years of research. They're saying go back to P228 era, do CVOT if there's a signal in phase 2, phase 3 trial. I will come to that. So what did the people who were in favor, the 10 people, what is essentially all the points that I have said. But I agree with them. We need in a new modified avatar. The CVOTs have to be modified. So coming back to this guidance, it is a draft guidance. There was 3 months of time to respond to it. We just finished on 10th of June. If I had prepared for this debate earlier, I would have responded to them, saying that they need to modify some of these things. Now look at this. I have 3 more minutes, little bit of statistics, which Samit is very good at. I think he's still there. If you want to exclude an upper limit margin of 1.8, you need 4,000 patient years of follow-up. And if you want to make it non-inferior, 1.3, you need 20,000 patient years of follow-up. Remember these numbers because, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the new draft guideline says. 4,000 patient years of exposure during phase 3 clinical trials. This is exactly SUSTAIN 6 and PIONEER 6. Remember, SUSTAIN 6 and PIONEER 6 are cardiovascular outcome trials, but they were done in phase 3A. They were not like all the other cardiovascular outcome trials. SUSTAIN 6 followed patients up for 2.1 years, which is about 6,000 patient years. Pioneer followed 3,000 patients for 1.3 years, which was 4,000 patient years. So they are hoping that by doing 40,000 patient year of follow-up, you will get an answer. Maybe, maybe not. SEMA was positive. Other drugs may not be positive. They may be harmful. They said 15,000 patients should be exposed to a new drug, 500 to have a new drug, 500 stage 4, 600 established cardiovascular disease, 600 under 65. So look at what they say. They say rigorous collection of CV data adjudication, include data safety monitoring boards committees, minimum number of events discussed before. This is nothing but a CVOT. You are just shifting the goalpost. Instead of post-marketing, you want to bring it pre-marketing. Look at the amount of time that the poor pharmaceutical company has to spend to get molecule only to be registered. To register, he has to do a modified cardiovascular outcome trial. There's nothing but a CVOT, and there's a flaw. 4,000 patient years may not give the answer. That's why you see the second last line, they have to discuss with FDA before they start doing these studies. Minimum number of events have to be discussed based on phase 1, phase 2. FDA might say, oh, sorry, you don't need 4,000 patients. You might need 20,000 patient years before we accept your molecule. So I have 1 more minute, so I'll just sum up. I agree with the MDAC meeting suggestion in 2018, sufficient data before approval, like SUSTAIN 6 and Pioneer, which are cardiovascular outcome trials in phase 3A trial. Continued importance of CV safety data is not limited, and post-marketing requirements based on safety signals. So in the last 45 seconds, do we need CVOTs? Yes. Do we need them in the previous avatar? No. We have to do the modified CVOTs. We need to know the cardiovascular safety of the molecule. We can't just get a molecule registered by not knowing that information. And we should do it just like SUSTAIN 6 or Pioneer 6 did. They did it in the pre-registration phase, and you'll be glad to know in January 2020, semaglutide, the injectable form, got the FDA nod for cardiovascular prevention. So with that, I will stop. I would read out CVOTs in type 2 diabetes. Shall we continue or not? 100% yes, in a modified way, because we need to know the safety of the molecule. Exactly 15 minutes. I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can you please stop sharing your slide so that I can put the introduction CV slide for Krishna, sir?
Am I out?
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you are supposed to be